Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours episode. I cannot believe it. 657. Oh, do the days go by? Welcome to the best day of your life. And I have the best friend of my life. He is powerful, no pun intended. Rhett Power, rhettpower.com, out of Nigeria today. Welcome, my friend.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Fantastic would be an understatement. I just got off of a activity I get paid for / I don't get paid for, vacation, and spoke at the FE conference. Great, the biggest manufacturer in America of jewelry. And what was a lot of fun about it, Red, is we're a little bit older. And so for all the years speaking, the attire has gotten extremely casual. And, it's a lot of hoodies. A lot of bling bling and painted shirts and all kinds of cool shit. But I'm more the Jim Harbaugh type, khakis in the Target golf shirt. And of course, previous to that, as recovering lawyer, suit and tie was my attire. This was the best dressed 500 people in one place that I've seen in a long time. It was like Back to the Future, man. It felt so good to be on a traditional big stage with traditionally well-dressed people. And I have to tell you, it gave a different vibe. I was mentioning Gigi's hair, and there's something about when people are taking the time to be well-groomed, as we'll find out from the other David that'll be joining us. We got Power in the Sinkinson.
You mean people dressed up in Cancun? Really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's usually a short and t-shirts kind of place.
I literally don't even remember why I brought my sport coat and dress shirt. Maybe they had mentioned it to me, and I thought, well, I'll throw the hoodie on. But just walking around before we were on the closing keynote, I was like, oh geez, thank God I had this, because I would have stuck out like a sore thumb. Even on the walkthrough, I felt bad not being dressed up because everybody was dressed up. But there is something to be said about looking good and feeling good about ourselves. We're going to bring on our first friend. He's a proven SaaS entrepreneur, podcaster, just like you and I, an author and founder of App Armor. And we're going to talk about his new book that came out last month, which is completely applicable to what we're doing with Napoleon Hill and the Napoleon Hill Institute. Let's welcome the other David today, David Sinkinson. Welcome to Office Hours.
Hey, how's it going, guys? How you doing?
Fantastic, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. It's always nice to get to chat with another David. I don't do that necessarily every day, so that's pretty fun.
I know. When I was a kid, you did see it every day. Half of the kids were named David and Michael.
And my brother's name is Michael, actually. So
of course it is. But I still only know one Rhett.
I only know one Rhett as well, actually, now.
Yeah, so you know how cool that is. And beyond, I love his kid's name with the last name Power. So we'll have to get. That's pretty good. How about Max? Right, Max, and help me out with the other one.
Will. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's my fave.
Oh, that's amazing.
Willpower. Max and Willpower.
You have to lean into that. If you have that kind of a last name, you've got to go for it.
Here's the thing. If I was able to have a third, or if I could have had a third, I was going to name it Rocket. And that I wanted a third boy so I could do Rocket.
Never too late, Rat. Never too late. That's what my wife told me as we had our fourth at 42. Never too late. So
I only have two, so you're doubling up on me on that. So
yeah, I lost out. I wanted Alka-Meltzer. We'll settle you. We'll settle your nerves. But yeah, it was Miles instead. Miles of Smiles is what they call him. That's nice. He's brought that for 14 years. Is Rhett as well with his kids, and he's visiting them all over the world. Knows the great smiles that we get. But let's talk about startups. You wrote a book in September called Startup Different, the myth-busting blueprint for the multi-million-dollar business. And I always steal from my favorite philosopher and scientist, Einstein. You can't solve a problem in the same consciousness in which it was created. Your book is an alter consciousness for startups. How not to fall into the 99% of startups that don't make it. not because they make mistakes, but because they lack commitment and consciousness in order to facilitate what they want, or even better. And that's what causes them to quit, or in other words, to fail. Give me an idea about what that blueprint is like in shifting a consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, I'll just mention the book is kind of like the chronological journey of my business, which you referenced at the start, which is App Armor. And it's also, the book also contains 33 different startup myths that my co-founder and I experienced, and sort of we busted or we fell victim to as we kind of started our business. And our business journey, we actually bootstrapped our company. We are brothers. I started my business with my brother, although it's not Michael. It was actually Christopher. It's another name like that.
Christopher, right.
There you go. And so
another
we got
popular name.
exactly right. It's all the same kids. Anyway, we did
Somebody's
it together.
reading the Bible. I know that.
Yeah. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Actually, I just had a son born. His name is Luke. So go figure. Anyway, so yeah, we basically we bootstrapped the business together. SaaS company. Took it to an exit, required by another company for $40 million. And then actually about 10 months later, the company that acquired us got acquired for just over $500 million. So a lot of dough flying around here. But the biggest thing, I think, in terms of the change of consciousness that you're referencing is, for a lot of founders, there's a lot of societal pressure. There's like these weird expectations as to what a startup should be or ought to be. You know, you should have a ton of funding. You should have a bunch of staff. You should have a slide in the office and maybe a beer keg. You should, these kinds of like weird societal expectations. And what happens is when a lot of founders start their business and they don't get like that immediate success, they don't get that the get big fast kind of thing happening for them, they kind of freak out and they start to make decisions that aren't actually good for their business. They start turning from what they're seeing in the market to what they feel like they should be based on their peers. And so one of the big things we try to say in the book is, don't pursue validation among your peers, pursue validation in the market. Otherwise, you're going to make a whole bunch of kind of crappy decisions for your business. And so there's a bunch of myths in the book. I'm happy to dig into it. But long story short is that this is the sort of the mentality change that we want to have, is like, don't worry about what other people think about what you're doing. Obviously, you want to have feedback and make good decisions and be collaborative and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, like, you are the person who understands your business the most and what it takes to make it successful.
Yeah, that's spot on. When you started to write this book, how did you kind of zero in on this as the topic? I'm fascinated of all the lessons we learn as entrepreneurs. Why did these end up in the ones that you settled on? How did those end up in the book?
Yeah, so a lot of the lessons that we focused on, I'll give you the big three that most people kind of hone in on. The first one is this like funding myth. So we bootstrapped our company, like I alluded to. Now, I will caveat this right away and say that some companies do need early funding. If you have a physical product or you're refining steel in a new and exciting way, you're going to need some capital. But if you are a software company in particular, like, you do not need early funding. And in fact, so we know the stats on this are like 70% approximately of all startups fail. But what's interesting is that about 75% of all venture-backed startups also fail. And it's usually around 4 years when that funding dries up. And it's for a lot of different reasons. And part of it is like the advice you get from VCs is venture capitalists is like really generalized. It's like, oh, you have to get big fast because they're thinking about a 5-year return, whereas you might be thinking about, the longer term growth of your company, like different objective, maybe the mission you're trying to accomplish. That's one really, really big one that, people just assume that it's like some sort of validation of your business model if you get funding, but actually it's not. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be more successful either. It just means you're going to be working at it potentially just for longer. The second thing is
that's right.
Yeah. The second thing is this like concept of like moral ruthlessness. So this is what we call it in the book, which is kind of a weird, comment, but basically it's that if you're a jerk in the market, a lot of people think that's a way to, that kind of like aggressiveness in the market is something that helps you get ahead. But actually, a lot of the data shows that if you are more, if you have a less of a moral compass in the market, it actually negatively affects your business outcomes. And there's tons of data behind this. And it kind of makes sense. Most of the time, people don't want to work with jerks, right? Especially when you're in this like enterprise, like we were in enterprise, the sort of sales solutions sort of department. Like, you need to build those relationships and they need to be strong. And if your reputation is that you're a jerk or that your company is tough to work with, like, you're going to be dead in the water. And then sort of building on that one is the third big one, which is this concept of the alpha. And the alpha is a term that's thrown around a lot, being like the alpha in the office. You kind of think, I jokingly think people most of the time are like, oh, it's like a gorilla wearing a tie and holding a briefcase. Like this person who's like super aggressive, who kind of like dominates. But the data on them shows that as leaders, even if they get good results in the market, the net effect of their leadership is actually negative for their business overall, because people are less willing to work for bosses that are jerks or that don't invest in them or don't care about them. And even in nature, with different chimpanzees, because the guy who actually coined this term is a primatologist, oddly enough. And if you look at nature, the actually most successful like monkeys are actually the most empathetic, the most collaborative, the most like bridge building monkeys in the troop. So it's kind of this like surprising thing that we buy into this idea that I have to be like super aggressive and fight and all that stuff. Yeah, you have to be intense and you have to compete and you have to win for sure. But there's a way to do this that is better, that is not what you would expect. Like I never expected to find in our research that, alpha equals empathy. Like I never would have anticipated that.
What a brilliant statement. Thinking about the alpha, the most recent book I just sold with Simon Schuster is Don't Do Business with Dicks. And
exactly. We should have called it that.
Yeah.
Startup different. The subtitle, Don't Do Business with Dicks, right?
Yeah, not Dick's Sporting Goods. They're fine. But
oh, that's funny.
You get the picture. But in the book, it talks about the power of not only empathy, but gratitude, accountability, and of course, inspiration or effective communication. You now have moved from this idea of being an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur with your brother, having great success and an exit. And I know the emptiness that happens when we make a lot of money and have an exit. I know Rhett does as well. And you're almost embarrassed to talk about the emptiness. I love people like, oh, this easy for Dave Meltzer to say. And you're like, yeah, it is easy for me to say because my purpose is still greater than my pain. And I have a purpose of empowering others to have a purpose.
Yeah.
You went my route and Rhett's route. You're a chief podcast officer now, an author. That's the subtitle. You haven't reached the elevated media monster of a ferocious Buddha yet, but you'll move from the CPO an author to a ferocious Buddha someday, and we'll send you some gear when you do or when you need it. Why did you make that choice not to go back into what they quote unquote, probably another myth in your book, the rat race of that pursuit instead of empowering others? Now it seems to be your mission with the CPO title and author.
Yeah, I really wanted chief podcast officer as my title, but I would say my brother, for what it's worth, he's the podcast sidekick. He chose that too. It wasn't just me, but anyway,
you got a better brother than me. They won't be my sidekick.
Fair enough.
They'll kick me in the backside, but they won't be my sidekick.
I think, to your point, I think I get most at this stage right now. I get most satisfaction out of helping other entrepreneurs. I think the book. Like, you can have a dedication at the start of the book, you dedicate it to someone or some people or whatever. And it says to all the entrepreneurs trying to live their dream. Basically what we're trying to do is we're taking these lessons, and it's not just like backslapping either. It's not like, look how great we were. It was like, there's plenty of examples where we totally blew it. And we had one assumption and we didn't challenge it well enough, and we went to market and we failed. And so there is sort of some element here of like a baked in humility. And I think what we're just trying to do is just, hey, you have a business. I want you to be successful. Learn from me. Here you go. That's the concept behind the book. And that's where I'm finding a ton of satisfaction. And to your point as well, and it is kind of one of those things. It's like the world's smallest violin, right? When you sell your company, it is actually a real identity crisis for you afterwards. You feel kind of empty because that was the thing that you pushed for, and then you accomplished that goal. It's like they say athletes die twice, right? They die once when they die and once when they retire from their sport. And I kind of felt that way after we had sold the business, where it was just like, wow, okay, like now what am I? And that was a really big transition. So I think once I realized that I got, I actually just did calls with some colleagues of mine who had their businesses going, and I'm just helping them. I wasn't charging or anything. Like I'm just weighing in. And once I saw the excitement with and the impact of some of those pieces of advice I gave them, that's when I was like, okay, I want to lean in on this a bit more. And so, cue the podcast, cue the book. And And it's also, for what it's worth too, I will say one last thing on this, is that I think that we have a bit of a weird toxic culture where people sort of ask like, what's next? So you do your company, you have this huge success, and then we actually had our book launch a couple weeks ago, and somebody came up to me and said, hey, it looks like you conquered the world, so what's next? And I'm just like, I don't know, I'm doing this right now. You know what I mean? It's like, why does there have to be a next? You know, why can't it just be this?
Well,
So
do it now. Do it now.
You should do something. You should do something about working with your brother, because working with my brother didn't work out so well.
Oh,
I'd love for you to like talk a little bit of not right now. I think we have to.
Yeah, we got
that's true.
We got the professor in, but we're going to do some podcast swapping between Rhett, David, and I. David, I want you to get involved in the Napoleon Hill Institute as chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, and we're going to be making a big announcement of how Rhett is going to be a part of the Napoleon Hill Institute as well.
Awesome.
Revitalizing Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil, and about 90% of Napoleon Hill's content has never been seen before, and it may be even better than a book that sold over $500 million. And as an author now, that is not, especially without social media, TV, and radio, it's not easy to sell $500 million books. So we're going to bring the professor on next. He's not sinking, I'll tell you that. He's a rising star. David Sinkinston, working with his brother, outdoing Rhett and I, a traditional name, but not a traditional path. He's busting the myths of startups. Go and join him on his podcast and his book. David, thanks for joining us on episode 657 of Office Hours.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Great interview, man. Really appreciate it. All right. The professor is in the house, and he's coming all the way from India. MS Rao, that's like the Tao. The Tao means the way, and the professor is going to show us the way today. Hold up that book so everyone can see it there. We're going to learn more about Professor Rao today in the MSR Leadership Consultancy that he has. His book, See the Light in You, sounds right up our alley, doesn't it, Rhett? We're going to find the Tao from Professor Rao. Welcome to episode 657 of Office Hours.
Thanks for having me, and it's a true honor that you invited me, and I feel very happy and express my gratitude to you. And this is about the book See the Light in You, for which the Nobel laureate, His Holiness Dalai Lama, has it in a foreword. So this book talks about various aspects of mindfulness, health, and
cats and wellness and success.
Cat is going.
It's truly a spiritual leadership, and you're on our mission, Professor Rao, both Rhett and I. And I wanted to ask you, especially today in America, it's what we call the day after. And it reminds me of my favorite book, Sesame Street book, Rhett. It's called The Monster at the End of the Book. Everybody for the last 3 months, don't turn the page. Don't turn the page. Oh, no. Oh, no. And guess what? We're all here because we are capable of giving meaning to everything that we see. And what we see is a reflection of what we are, our essence of what we see in us. You run the MSR Leadership Consultancy. How can we help people look inside of us to see what's outside of us?
Yeah, it's a great question. This book especially talks about gratitude, empathy, and compassion, various aspects I have integrated. And this book gives a message that health first, education second, and wealth third. This is the basic premise of this book. And this is the book very close to my heart. And currently we have lots of challenges globally. People have mental illness and various other challenges. So based on that, and also there are rising suicides in India and some parts of the world. So it's a cause for concern. So that flashed on my mind. Then I wrote a book titled See the Light in You around 5 years back. Then I connected various chapters and made it into a book. Then I requested His Holiness Dalai Lama to write a foreword. Then he asked to send the entire manuscript. Then I sent. the entire manuscript for his approval. He appreciated, and then he has written a foreword for the book titled "See the Light in You." This is briefly about the origin of this book, and I'm always grateful to His Holiness Dalai Lama for writing a foreword for this book.
Wow.
Because there is, I don't have any other Nobel laureate who can write a forward, and is the right person to write for this book. That is the thing, and I'm so happy and I'm honored to have this kind of opportunity. And also, Dev, I am grateful to you for this wonderful opportunity. And see,
Dr. Rao, I have go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, please ask a question. No problem. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to know. David and I both coach people, and I know in my practice, I talk to a bunch of leaders all the time that have been successful. They've made money. They've been successful in business. On the outside, things seem like they've got the world. They own the world. But on the inside, they're broken, and it's a spiritual brokenness.
Yeah.
What is your advice to that person? And I know we have some watching and listening right now.
Yeah.
That are feeling that. They feel like there's something missing in everything that they're doing. What is your advice to them?
Excellent question, and it's very apt in the current context. Happiness lies within, not outside. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have to lead, and we have to succeed. We have to make money, and this is part of life. But overall, what we have to look in an individual is happiness within us, not outside. So people, what happened? They search here and there. I read so many books. One of the books is about man's search for meaning. Viktor Frankl's book I read. That one of the best books I have read in my life, and I enjoyed. So we have to search for meaning. See, people are into a rat race, and they are looking for money. See, money is required. Without money, we can't survive. Right? We have to emphasize wealth. We have to generate wealth. Right? At the same time, we have to be mindful. We have to be ethical, and we should lead our lives peacefully and happily. This is the essence of this book. This is the question which I have asked. For that, this is the response I have given. See, people emphasize various aspects. So my view is that first we have to emphasize on health. Only when we are having good health, we'll be very active, and we'll be keep doing the things. So once we are having health, then we can go for education. Education is the key. Education opens the window to the outside world. Second, then third thing, we need to have wealth. So without that, we can't achieve prosperity globally. So we have to emphasize on wealth. So these are the basic aspects I focused on this book, right? And this money, and why people are not happy means people often compare with others. We are gifted and we are unique in this world. Everyone has hidden potential, and we should explore within ourselves, and we should grow, and without comparing with others. But what's happening globally is we often compare, and especially in view of the social media, it's a very big challenge. Of course, we need to have social media, and we need to harness social media. Without social media, we can't lead, and we need to change with the changing times and technologies, right? So we have to embrace technology. We have to embrace various aspects so that we can lead our lives peacefully and happily. Yeah.
Well, now we know why Professor Rao is known as the father of soft leadership. He has overcome a brain stroke. He knows health is the most important wealth. If we're not healthy, we only get one wish every day. Learn the Tao. Not everybody gets the Dalai Lama writing their forward. I'm lucky to get Red Power to write my forward. So you can imagine, after 53 books, over 300 international papers, journals, magazines, I tip my hat to one of the greatest leaders in leadership. You have to read the book, See the Light in You. Check it out. It will change
And
the
if
way.
you could permit, I am a regular contributor for Entrepreneur Magazine.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm a regular contributor.
Yes,
This is
I've
the
worked with Bill
yeah.
Shaw for many years. Still have the
And
#1 digital
I
show.
have read your articles also. I read your articles.
Very good. You're right
And
along
I
with
watched your videos. I watched your. So let me
videos.
briefly tell about myself. Uh, my name is Professor M.S. Rao. I have authored 53 books, including the award-winning book titled "See the Light in You," for which the Nobel laureate His Holiness Dalai Lama has written a foreword. I have 43 years of diversified experience, including Indian Air Force, business, teaching, and training. And I'm a late bloomer, dyslexic, ADHD, OCD. Add to that, the brain stroke worsened my health in the year 2021. And I have lots of financial challenges, mental challenges, physical challenges. I am 61 years old. And I was born into a toxic family and grew up in a toxic environment. Despite having all the challenges, I rose from the ashes like a phoenix. So, and I want to write a book tentatively titled Survivor. So this book I have mentioned with the triggers, but right now I can't type with my right hand and I can't eat with my right hand. So once I get back to the feet and I'll be able to write and complete a project tentatively titled Survivor. This is a memoir which I'm planning to write, and I think this will be one of the. I think this will be New York Times best-selling New York Times bestseller. That I'm very much optimistic.
I'm very optimistic for you as well. And we can use AI. Let's not wait for that right hand to work. Let's just use your voice to transcribe the brilliant ideas, the expression of God. Professor M.S. Rao, the father of soft leadership. He's done it all. He's leading the way by looking within. I cannot wait to read his next book. Check out Professor M.S. Rao, Vision 2030.blogspot.com. Thank you, Professor Rao. We'll have you back soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Oh, we both have said the same thing with gratitude. With gratitude, I am grateful to you and also to your friend. Okay,
Thank you so much.
both of you with
Thank you,
gratitude.
Dr. Rao.
Have a great day.
Thank you for the light, the love, and the lessons. And we are blessed to be here on episode 657. Talk about common names. I'm about to bring on the most common of the names and not the most common of the people, though. We got Bill Smith coming on, founder and CEO of Landing. I must know, I have a really big database in my phone. I don't know how many Bill Smiths I have, but there's a lot of them. So I got to figure out a new way, a new nomenclature, a categorization for all the Bill Smiths in the world. We were talking about there's no more Davids and Chris and Michaels. There's certainly still a lot of Bill Smiths around. Welcome to Office Hours, Bill.
It's great to be with you. Good morning.
Good morning, my friend. Well, let's talk about Hello Landing, hellolanding.com. It's a great network, a membership-based network that allows flexibility in leasing apartments, which obviously is way more important today than it's ever been because people move and need that flexibility more than they've ever moved, and especially with remote working, remote lifestyles, also the multi-purpose units that are necessary in leasing today. Your business must be going off the hook. What are some of the attributes in the flexible leasing program that you have that allow people to move on the go when they want to go with who they want to go?
Well, it might help for me also to tell you why I started this too, so it'll all come together. I was building a tech company called Shipped a few years back and needed to move my family to San Francisco for a while and had to go through all the pain of finding an apartment. I remember going on Craigslist, calling different leasing agents, trying to find a place. I had to fill out paper applications and get furniture and set up all the utilities. And it was a huge headache. And so I saw an opportunity then. And what I think really where I think the traditional apartment rental industry is going to go over the next decade is what we call flexible living. And we essentially created a category. So with Landing, you can join, become a member, and you can literally live anywhere, anytime. And every Landing apartment is fully furnished. It's got everything you need. They all have a full kitchen, a washer and dryer in the unit, bedrooms, everything you want to really have a home. And it's also combined with the trust and consistency that you get with a hotel. So instead of having to, if you think about the traditional model of using some of the other players out there. You're kind of rolling the dice, if you will, if you're booking a place. With landing, you know what you're going to get. It's going to be trusted. It's consistent. You can move to Austin for 3 months, and then if you want to move to Miami for a while, you just go in our app, you pick a place in Miami, and you show up, and you know that it's going to be the same trusted and consistent experience.
Wow. Okay. I think thank God for you, because you just described my life.
Mine too.
Right. And so tell me how it works. I mean, how do you become a member and all that stuff? Because I am asking for selfish reasons, because I know very soon I'm going to need to look in New York and maybe LA for a little while. And tell me how that works. I mean, is it easy to join? What's the process? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we've really focused on making it super simple. My line is I want to make it as easy to book a landing as it is to order food delivery.
Okay.
So you can go on our site, hellolanding.com. You can search for an apartment in any of our cities. And literally once you can see all the images of the exact apartment. So it's not like, a hotel where you see pictures of a room. You see photos of the exact apartment. You see the floor plan. You know which floor it's on. You know how the parking works. We give you all the details so you can make that decision online without having to go in person. Because in most cases, you're probably not in that city right now. You can't go tour. So you need to be able to trust us. And then the booking process is super simple. You can literally sign up with a credit card and boom, you click the button and you're done. You show up with the app, and the app actually unlocks the door for you.
Is it 1 month? What's the minimum? Like, what are some of the requirements?
You can actually stay in a landing for a week if you want to. And this is kind of a new shift for us. When we started out, it was the minimum was a month. But what we found is there are people that they need to be somewhere for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. And so we've really opened that up in the last, really in about the last 6 months. We acquired another company, and we've really been growing that side of our business too.
Okay. And how much is the membership, or is there different levels of membership?
So it's $299 per year to be a member, and that gets you access to stay in any landing across the country.
And there's different levels of properties. Are there from the 1 bedroom to the penthouse?
Studio to 3 bedroom. Most of our properties are really new properties. So in the apartment industry, they call them Class A buildings. Think, all the new stuff that's being built everywhere that has great resort style pools and fitness and all that. So all of our properties are generally new and really high end.
That's super cool. And then beyond that as well, have you added on the moving services? I know, for example, there's companies like Furnished and others. I would assume if a corporation was a membership, they may want to facilitate different moving that's included or just at least offered.
We don't do the moving yet. We actually work with a lot of companies that move executives. It's in that world is called corporate relocation. Yeah. And so we work with a lot of those companies. And that's actually a really fast growing part of our business, where those companies call us and they use us when someone's moving to a new city for work.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to join after the show. How about you, Rhett?
Yeah,
you say my ass, Bill, because when Rhett was talking about moving to LA, I think he wanted to move in with me, and
you don't want that.
Yeah, I didn't want to be working out. I don't want to be working out every morning in my garage with Rhett, and the beach house. It makes too much money to rent to others. We didn't want to squeeze Rhett when he moved out to live at the beach, so this is perfect.
I mean, I hear, Dave, you have a great shower, and so
Oh, yes. Everybody loves Dave's shower, that's for sure. It's like they can't help themselves. I leave my house and I hear people, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you have the best shower." I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? I asked you to house sit. I didn't ask you to use my shower. But my kids, they are great at telling people, "Hey, if you're staying at my dad's house," because I travel, Bill, obviously, and I'd love to have a week in New York and a month in New York, a month in Vegas, Chicago, especially. Brett and I, we talk about being, or Dallas in the middle of the company. This is so valuable. And I want to bring up one last point, and we're going to have you back, Bill, because this is right up our community's alley. I've been studying a different expense that I've ignored for years. I've talked about the dummy tax. I've studied taxes, and I keep encouraging people, don't move because of taxes, because the biggest tax you should be focusing in on is the dummy tax, because it'll cost you everything you ever have and everything you will have and would have had. Dummy tax is way more expensive than estate tax, trust me, or property tax. But the quantitative measurement that this addresses, and I want to reiterate this, and it's one in outsourcing and AI, but it's especially true with landing, is the greatest expense in business is your emotional expense.
Mm.
And there's nothing that's more emotionally expensive than, as you stated, the moving. If that company that moved you to San Francisco, if they could have taken all the energy and motion that you put into moving and put it towards productivity of their company, they would have made 6 or 7 figures from the emotional expense that you had to spend in order to just move, compared to having a $299 membership and my credit card on file and showing up, I'm sure in a matter of days and having everything shipped out. Imagine how productive I'm going to be. So I want to point that out. We're going to have you back. I got a TV show to film, or we spend all day with you. There's a million Bill Smiths out there, but there's only one I know that deals with landing you in the right place at the right time at the right price. Don't pay the emotional expense. Check out landing. I promise you, like the dummy tax, there is no economic situation that would provide a better way to flexibly lease a department across the country. One last question. How many cities are you in right now?
We're in 275 cities today.
That's it? Oh my God, Russ. We can live everywhere together, bro. We could have 2 penthouses right next to each other.
We cover the whole U.S. David, Red, it was great to be with you guys today.
You're awesome, man. We're signing up after this, and we definitely want to have you on our other shows. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much. See you later.
That's awesome. So check out Bill Smith. One of the million Bill Smiths, but more importantly, check out landing. What a great solution. I love. It's like I get so much juice out of, like, even when Amazon comes in like 2 hours, I still am thrilled. When I hear about landing, I'm sitting here, all the possibilities of what I do, how I do it is just amplified in value. Anyways, my friend, what is your takeaway of the day?
No wonder landing is recognized by Forbes as the next billion-dollar company. It's just a fabulous business model. I'm blown away by that. Dr. Rao, I got to read the book now. That's always top of mind for you and I, and so those are my big takeaways. I got another book to read.
Yeah, well, I hope it's an audiobook. But for me, it's understatement is my takeaway. Think about the guests that we had today, right? You had a young kid that had a $500 million exit,
and a drop, and Bill was the dropout, right?
Yeah, and Bill, and then you have Professor Rao, who the Dalai Lama wrote his foreword. He's written 53 books, 300 articles. He is a contributor to Entrepreneur, as we are, and Forbes. But like, this is a world famous professor, and he has overcome so many challenges. And of course, our next billion-dollar company here on Office Hours. So I love the humility and the understatement that we have. This is a very casual show. We're not like the FE conference that I was at yesterday, and I want to thank all of them. We don't show up in $3,000 suits and amazing jewelry and well manicured every morning at 5:30 in the morning. But it is an understated show with understated advice, wisdom, and faith, inspiration that will help other people make a lot of money, help a lot of people themselves, and most importantly, I hope they find that we're fun, because if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. And it's always fun hanging out with one of the most powerful individuals I've ever met, Rhett Power. Thank you for everything. I'm looking forward to growing the Napoleon Hill Institute with you. We have so much great news coming for everyone. This has been episode 657 of Office Hours with my partner, Rhett Power. Thanks for joining me, buddy. Enjoy Nigeria. Is there landing in Nigeria? That's what he needs right there. I'm sure he's in some glamping tent. Anyways, speaking of glamping, did you check out Gigi's hair? It looks wonderful. She's glamping today as well. But most importantly, we're in Vegas. We're filming season 7. And we got Nick Lowry, Hall of Famer, Eric Dickerson, Hall of Famer, Josh Luber, Hall of Famer. We got the incredible Les Brown. We got Rep Power. We got so many people dialing in, coming in. We'll be at the Wynn in my SiriusXM studio in the lobby of the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. We just had $1.5 million upgrade thanks to SiriusXM. We're going to be filming. Come by Wednesday, Thursday. We got a VIP dinner with the who's who around the world coming in. Come and join us. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. Then we will be, again, back for the second half of season 7 in Las Vegas. Then off to New York City. That's right, the amazing investor mastermind in New York City with Sean Dill. I think Tulsi Gabbard might even be there. We got so many people. VIP dinner, mastermind, and UFC 309. If you're a UFC fan, come and join us at the fight. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. And then after that, the Irvine Tower Thanksgiving Mastermind at the Irvine Tower, our newest office for Napoleon Hill Institute, right there in Orange County, California. We are booked, and I just found out I may be in Turkey. Just got on the plane last night, hired to speak in Turkey. So don't be a turkey, by the way. Hey, that's kind of cool. I'm going to be in Turkey right before Thanksgiving. The universe, there's no coincidences. If you pay attention and give intention to what you want, the coincidences will happen. I am grateful, and so is everybody else. Find the light, the love, and the lessons. Join my friends. Join me. Most importantly, text me 949-298-2905. You'll get notified in the over 200 cities that I'm in this year, and it seems like it's going to be even more next year. Go ahead, text me. That's what I use to alert me that I'm supposed to be in studio in about 1 hour and 17 minutes. 949-298-2905. Most importantly, be more interested than interesting. Be kind. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. God bless you all. We'll see you later. Peace.